Welcome to all. This video lecture is for the benefit of students of third semester BCom of Mangalore University in the subject Financial Accounting 3. This video lecture is the initiative of Government of Karnataka, Department of Collegiate and Technical Education, Bangalore. Myself, Lokesh Nath B, Assistant Professor, Government First Grade College, Kapo, taking up the topic Preparation of the Executor Account. Unit 4, Death of a Partner, session number 40. Today in this session we will see the preparation of executor's account. Who is a executor? You are aware that executor is the legal representative of the deceased partner. The executor may be the relative, a trust, bank, or any other persons who are duly represented by the deceased person. The executor will execute all the transactions relating to the death of the partner, and the amount whichever is due, it will be paid to the legal representatives of the deceased partner. So in case of a death of a partner, the amount due to the deceased partner by the firm is payable to his legal representative or the executor. Legal representative themselves may be executor, or executor is represented by the certain persons who may not be the legal representative. Maybe the bank may also act as a executor, or the chartered accountants may act as a executor, or the lawyers may act as a executor. On behalf of the legal representative, they are making transactions in the name of the deceased persons. So in the case of a death of partner, the amount due to the deceased partner may be either paid to the legal representative or to the executor of the deceased partner. Here, the first deceased partner's capital account will be prepared, and whatever the adjustment relating to the deceased partner, first it will be adjusted in the capital account of the deceased partner. After making all the necessary adjustment in the deceased partner's capital account, the ultimate balance, if there is, that is, if there is any credit balance in the deceased partner's capital account, that will be transferred to the executor account. So we need to prepare first capital account of the deceased partner, then we prepare the executor's account. But some of the authors prefer preparation of only one account, that is executor's account. All the necessary adjustment will be made in the executor's account. Instead of preparing two separate accounts, that is one deceased partner's capital account and second executor's account, some of the authors prefer to prepare one single account so as to avoid any confusion to the students. In one account itself, all the necessary adjustment will be made and the amount that will be paid to executor will also written in that account itself. But in this video lecture, I have taken here preparation of two separate accounts. One is deceased partner's capital account and another is executor's account. So in my session, I will be taking two separate accounts in the preparation of the accounting entries in relation to the death of the partner. The executor, that is the legal representative of the deceased partner, if there is sufficient cash in the business, if there is funds in the business, then immediately executors will be paid. But since the death happened middle of the year or unknown date, it may be in a time where the business lack funds to pay. In that case, the continuing partners may defer the payment of the amount due to the deceased partner, and that may be paid in the form of a certain fixed installment, maybe with interest or without interest, depending upon the agreement with the executor. So, amount due to the deceased partner may be paid immediately or it may be paid in a certain number of installments. If it is not paid immediately, the deceased partner's executor's account will appear in the liability side of the balance sheet. If it is paid immediately, the executor's amount due to the executor will not be appearing in the balance sheet, because already cash has shown an outflow. So it will not appear as a liability. But if it is not paid immediately, the executor's balance will remain to be shown in the liability side of the balance sheet until it is completely paid off. Now we will see the journal entry for passing of the amount due to the executor if it is paid immediately. When executor is paid immediately, that means full amount is paid. The journal entry for paying immediately deceased partner's executor account is debited to cash or bank account, being the balance due to the deceased partner paid immediately. Now, in certain cases, it may not be paid immediately, but it may be paid in a certain number of installment. If it is paid in a certain number of installment, there may be a requirement of payment of interest to the executors of the deceased partner. If interest is due to the executing partner, then the entry for the interest due will be interest on deceased partner's executor's account is debited to deceased partner's executor's account, being the interest due. Then after this, we are required to pass an entry for the actual payment of the installment amount. These installment may be in a fixed intervals and the amount may be predetermined in a certain fixed installment. So the entry for payment of these fixed installment will be deceased partner's executor's account is debited to cash or bank account, being the installment due to the deceased partner is paid. Now, sometimes what happens is that partial amount will be paid in the form of a cash and the remaining sum may be retained as a loan in the firm. If a partial amount is paid in the form of a cash, then the journal entry will be deceased partner's executor's account is debited with the full amount to cash or bank account to the extent of the partial amount paid to the executor, and you may require to give another credit to the deceased partner's executor's loan account. So when a partial payment is made, the entry will be deceased partner's executor's account will be debited with the complete amount due to the deceased partner, and credit is given to cash or bank account to the extent of the amount paid to the deceased partner partially in cash, and one more credit will be given to the deceased partner's executor's loan account with the part amount of the amount due to the deceased partner which is not paid. That will be shown in the liability side of the balance sheet until it is paid off completely. Now, while paying to the executor, it may be paid with the interest or without interest. It depends upon the agreement entered. If the executors of the deceased partner agree without interest, then it may be paid without interest, or if they agree for payment of deceased partner amount with interest, then it is required to be paid in the form of interest. This clause may be agreed at the time of formation of the partnership firm or at the time of payment to the executor. If any absence of such agreement, the interest will be paid as per the section 37 of the Partnership Act. Under the section 37 of the Partnership Act, the firm required to pay interest at the rate of 6% per annum on the outstanding balance due to the deceased party. So, in the absence of an agreement, interest at the rate of 6% per annum is allowed as per the section 37 of the Partnership Act. Now, as I have already told you, and these items have been already explained in the previous sessions, here I will be taking up two separate accounts. One is deceased partner's capital account, and then we prepare the executor's account. But students, you can combine and prepare one single account also. Some of the authors prepare one single account, that is executor's account only. All the adjustment which we do in the deceased partner's capital account will be done in the executor's account. But in this video session, I have taken two separate account preparation. So first we will see the deceased partner's capital account. This is a ledger account having two sides, debit side and credit side. In the credit side, what are the items normally which appear is shown. One is the opening balance of the deceased partner's capital that will be entered on the credit side if it is shown on the liability side of the old balance sheet. On the contrary, if the deceased partner's capital account is shown on the asset side of the balance sheet, then it will be entered on the debit side of the deceased partner's capital account as to balance brought down, opening balance. So first we need to record the existing capital balance of the deceased partner. And the second item here, it is shown on the credit side of the capital account, is the interest on capital. If in the problem the question specifies on the payment of interest on capital, then we are required to record the entry for interest on capital on the credit side as by interest on capital. The rate of interest will be usually given in the problem. If it is not given, then section 37 of the Act will apply. The interest will be calculated at the rate of 6% per annum. Then in the old balance sheet, if there is accumulated reserves on the liability side of the balance sheet, that will be distributed to the deceased partner by recording the entry on the credit side as by reserves, or profit and loss may also appear on the liability side of the balance sheet. Then that will be given to the deceased partner by recording the entry on the credit side of the deceased partner's capital account. Sometimes when a death of a partner take place, the continuing partners may revalue certain values of the assets and liability. If there is any revaluation of the assets and liability, and if there is any profit, then that profit is to be brought to the deceased partner, because he also eligible for the values change in the values of the assets and liabilities. So record the entry on the credit side of the deceased partner's capital account by writing by revaluation account on the credit side. Then if certain salary, commission and any other remuneration is given to the deceased partner, then record on the credit side of the deceased partner's capital account by recording by salary account, by commission account, or by any other remuneration account. Here you have to remember, sometimes salary may be given in the form of a number of months, or it may be given in the form of a annual salary. If it is number of months, then multiply into number of month alive, or a commission if it is a month, or a salary depending upon that. If it is month, only allow him up to the death of the deceased partner. Then the problem also may specify the goodwill calculation. If goodwill calculation is given, then we have to record by entering on the credit side of the deceased partner's capital account, not by opening a goodwill account, but by adjusting goodwill in the form of a capital account. So here goodwill account is not opened, but it will be adjusted in the form of a capital account. There should not be any goodwill entry on the credit side, but goodwill is to be recorded on the credit side of the balance sheet, but the entry will be the remaining partners capital account, and not by opening a separate goodwill account. Here no separate goodwill account is opened as per the Indian accounting standard. Then if there is any accrued profit, that will be written on the credit side of the deceased partner's capital account by recording the profit and loss suspense account. If we in the problem it is specified to calculate, we need to calculate accordingly. On the debit side, we have to record drawings if there is, that is the amount withdrawn for the personal use. If the interest on drawing is asked to calculate, then also we have to debit interest on drawings on the debit side. And on the asset side of the old balance sheet, if there is existing profit and loss account, that means it is a loss. That loss is to be brought to the debit side of the deceased partner's capital account. And on the preparation of any revaluation account, if we get any loss, that loss is to be brought to the debit side of the deceased partner's capital account by writing to revaluation account. After all these, the remaining balance should be transferred to deceased partner's executor's account. Now, in the executor's account, we will be writing. So, after preparing the deceased partner's capital account, the another account we are required to prepare is deceased partner's executor's account. As I told you earlier, In this video session, we will be preparing two separate accounts. One is deceased partner's capital account and another is deceased partner's executor's account. To remind you, some of the authors will prepare only single account, that is deceased partner's executor's account. But here I have prepared two separate accounts. In that, the second one is the deceased partner's executor's account. In this, first we will be bringing the balance from the deceased partner's capital account. We have already prepared the deceased partner's capital account, and finally if there is any balance, we have transferred it to deceased partner's executor's account. Now that balance we have received on the debit side. Now we will be entering in the executor's account on the credit side by recording by deceased partner's capital account. And some of the time amount may be paid immediately. If it is entire amount is paid immediately, then record on the debit side as to cash or bank account. Some of the case they may ask you to transfer the amount to a loan account, then we need to record deceased partner's executor's loan account. If there is no such instruction, then the remaining balance will be carried forward and recorded in the balance sheet on the liability side. So we have to record to balance carried down if there is any part payment or the amount due to the deceased partner is not paid completely, then the remaining balance will appear in the liability side of the balance sheet. So with this, we have come to an end of this video session numbered 40. I thank all of you for watching this video. Thank you one and all.